Welcome back. I'm Wyatt Goolsby in for Lauren Ashburn. A new report released by the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom documents a connection between women's rights and the freedom of religion and belief. Lauren Ashburn takes a closer look at the report with a longtime religious freedom advocate.
Joining us now is Christina Arriaga, Vice Chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great being back.
You're just here from Oxford, where you presented this new report on women and religious freedom. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we went to Oxford University because there are a lot of scholars and academics and UN officials who were meeting there precisely to talk about human rights. And our expert on women's rights and religious freedom authored this report, and we were there to present the report and get feedback. This is a very innovative report. No one had really written about the synergy, the connection between women's rights and freedom of religion and belief.
And so let's talk about some specific examples of a woman whose rights were violated because of a religious freedom law in Pakistan.
We at the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom have seen that countries that protect religious freedom, have robust protection for religious freedom, also have robust protections for women. So Pakistan is a place where regrettably there is a bad human rights situation, freedom of religion and belief is not protected, and there's this case of this woman, Asia Bibi, who was in a dispute with fellow women in her village. She's Christian, most of the women were not, and they accused her of blasphemy. And unfortunately, she was sentenced to death in 2010 because fellow women accused her of speaking against the Prophet Muhammad. Had there been protections for religious freedom, Asia Bibi would not be in prison. She wouldn't have been condemned to death. The Pope himself has interceded on her behalf.
And her husband went to visit him.
Her husband and children went to visit him to appeal on her behalf. The United States government, the United Nations has been following this, and unfortunately, she remains in solitary confinement in Lahore in Pakistan.
But she is not the only one. This is just one of many examples. There are some other women in Iran, two women who have been charged with operating an underground educational system.
Yes, in Iran, the Baha'i religion is a pacifist religion, has been banned by the state. And these two women, along with 5 other leaders of the Baha'i community, started an underground school to educate their own children who were forbidden from going to university because of lack of freedom of religion and belief. These kids were so well educated that they ended up at Columbia University, they ended up at Oxford University. The Iranian government found out about it, and to make an example, they imprisoned these 7 leaders, including 2 women, and sentenced to 20 years in prison just for exercising their right to live according to their deeply held convictions.
In your opinion, what steps need to happen in the international community to protect women and not have religion used against them?
Human rights are universal, indivisible, interrelated, and interdependent. The second that a state decides that they will respect one human right and not the other, it becomes difficult and impossible for people to really live according to their convictions. We at the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom feel that the fragmentation of rights is dangerous for any country, but particularly for the human rights community.
Thank you so much for explaining this report to us. Kristina Arriaga, Vice Chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom.
Thank you.
Tonight on EWTN's Pro-Life Weekly, Catherine Zelner looks back on her interview with the parents of Jackson Buell. He's the toddler who's missing roughly 80% of his brain.